and sounds of the Nigerian stories. My Nigerian Folktales.
He continued to gain recognition by virtue of the wrestling competitions he went for. After all, it was what made him popular in the first place. It was on one of his visits to Oyoile that he noticed a young man about the same age as him was being hailed by some youths.
Amaba!
Saki! Obalola!
This man beamed, his face all smiles as he acknowledged their salutations.
Who is that?
Afonja asked.
That should be Aole.
Replied one of his friends.
And from what I've heard, he is from one of the royal families entitled to the throne of this Oyo kingdom.
Now, at that time, there was a damsel from one of the villages in Oyoile who was very popular because of her beauty. She was the most beautiful girl and well-mannered despite the fact that she came from a wealthy family. A lot of men wished they could woo her, but they dare not, for they somehow knew she was beyond their reach. Aole, however, didn't have such limitations that would prevent him, so he accosted her a number of times, but she rejected his advances.
You belong to the class of royals like me.
Aole would say to her,
If you marry me, you will become an Olori one day.
I'm sorry, but I can't and I won't marry you.
She would often reply.
Why is that?
I've heard a lot about you, Aole. You who could sell one of your very own friends into slavery. It says a lot about you.
But he spoke out of line, okay, and got me angry. I had to do what I did so he could learn his place. Abi?
That shows how mean you can be. Who knows? You might do same to me if or when I fall out of favor with you. That's the reason I can't marry you, Aole. Why are we Siwaju?
She retorted. Aole was to discover some months later that the woman he had his eyes on had agreed to become the wife of Afonja. This was a hard blow to his ego. He felt badly hurt.
Who is this Afonja?
He inquired.
He is a powerful warrior and a wrestling champion who hails from Ilorin.
Was the response he got from someone around. And from that day, Aole resented Afonja. Some years later, Afonja rose to prominence as he was made the Are Onokankanfo after the death of his predecessor, Are Onokankanfo Oku of Jabata. Aole's resentment increased the more, for in his mind's eyes, Afonja had gained more respect and fame than him in the entire kingdom.
Look at him. He is now the Are Onokankanfo, and I'm just the prince.
Aole thought to himself one day. Then a wicked thought crept into his mind.
If only I could be the ruler already. And why can't I? My cousin is currently relaxed and weak after all. I can easily stab him to death in his sleep. No, that won't be necessary. Besides, that will be too tedious. Aha! I shall poison him instead.
And so it was that some weeks later, the demise of Alaafin Abiodun was announced. Oh, the entire kingdom mourned their king's death, for he was a good king that ruled them for 19 years.
We will surely miss him.
About 3 months later, Aole was crowned the new Alaafin of Oyo Empire. He ruled for 7 years. During Aole's reign, there were constant problems. People were seized and sent into slavery at the slightest offense. The poor groaned as Aule's reign was high-handed. Meanwhile, Afonja, as the generalissimo of the kingdom, continued to go for wars, winning more territories for Oyo. He gained so much importance that he was even more revered than the king himself. So one day, Aule thought to himself,
Can you imagine? In spite of being a king, I feel as though I'm not respected enough. Afonja. The way his praise is being sung, one could feel the admiration these people have for him in their hearts. With this trend, won't my case be like that of Ajaka and Chongo? Afonja, the battle line is now drawn between you and I. Kabiesio, you sent for me.
The palace guard interrupted his thoughts.
Yes, go and tell Kankan for Afonja that I order him to attack Akpum and bring me the head of its ballet. Tobalashe, Your Majesty.
It so happened that earlier on that day, Alaafin Aule had awoken from a terrible nightmare where he saw himself being beaten by the ballet of Akpum. And as he woke up, slowly, his mind flashed back to the incident that took place some years ago. He had sold his close friend into slavery because he offended him. Somehow, the ballet of Akpom got to know that an Oyo citizen had been sold, so he sent out and rescued him. Then when the ballet found out that it was a prince that had committed this error, he gave the order that Aule be thrashed 21 strokes of the cane instead of the punishment of execution. It was from that day that Aule resented him. Afonja carried out the orders of the king and sacked the town of Akpom. The Bale, who had foreseen what would happen since Aule became king, committed suicide. Nonetheless, his head was cut off and sent to Aule in order to appease him. Afonja was leaving Akpom with his men when the king's messengers arrived. He saluted the military commander.
Greetings from our king. He instructed that we take you to the next town he wants you to conquer. All right then. Onward, soldiers!
Afonja ordered.